Hello. Oh, hang on. I'm on the wrong microphone. I'm on. Hello. That's better. I found some groovy little music that I'm allowed to share on Facebook, I hope, to get us started. I'm exploring in the royalty-free music arena. Welcome to Lunch and Learn Live, lovely ladies, and any gentlemen who may be tuning in for today. Can you hear the music? I don't even know if you can hear the music. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Who really knows? I'm pretty sure you can, if I've got my text set up correctly. But we shall see. Today, we are talking about the inner critic and why everyone in the whole wide world seems to have it more together than you, or me, or whoever happens to be on the inside of our heads as we compare ourselves to the world outside and around. And isn't that the case? Yes, right? That we look around the world and we think to ourselves, well, they seem to have it more together than I do. They seem to be doing a better job than I am. Clearly they're more intelligent. Clearly they're smarter. They responded so well when that happened. Look at how I responded. I'm an idiot. I'm horrible. I'm terrible. I'm not smart enough. I'm blah, 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 blah. And the little voice, a little voice inside our head that has a field day so often. And it's called the inner critic. So we're going to have a chat about inner critic today because there's a lot of inner critic out there in the world right now. And here's one thing I know about inner critic. Inner critic goes even more mental, even more bonkers when we are a little under our optimum. And if there's one thing I know to be true with a quick survey of the entire One of Many community is that we are all a little less than our optimum at the moment because frankly, we have been challenged over the last 6 months. Good to see you, ladies. Hello, Nikki. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Glenn. Good to see you all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Please tell me where in the world you are and what's for lunch. It's always a nice way to start the day. Or if it's not lunchtime where you are, for instance, Kathy, I know, is over the pond, across the pond, and she's probably having a very early morning coffee, I would expect. But let me know what it is that's on the menu. I just had rice cakes with avocado, cream cheese, salmon, and capers. It was very nice. Thank you very much. And I'm having my Earl Grey tea. But many of you who follow me on Instagram, if you don't, it's Dr. Joanna Martin. Please do come and follow me over there. Will know that this week has been a very, very sad week. Before we talk about the inner critic, let's talk about the important things. Very sad week because I have stopped my daily coffee. Stopped it. And I'm trying to convince myself that I love a matcha latte. And if I can be honest with you, I don't love a matcha latte. I don't. I'm not enjoying it. But I'm committed. I'm committed to give it a good week because I didn't like coffee the first time I tried it. I didn't like the taste. And now I do. And I like the ritual of it. And that's why I've chosen the matcha latte because the etymology of matcha. You know how much I love etymology, right? But it's not the etymology of matcha at all. It's the history, the historical context of matcha green tea and the tea ceremony. And the fact that I still get to use my coffee machine to froth my milk. So there is a little ritual and ceremony that goes into making a matcha latte. So I will tell you next week, Lunch and Learn Live, whether I have managed to convince my taste buds that matcha latte is okay and will sustain me through the letting go of my coffee. It's hard. It's hardcore. I'm not a happy camper right now, but don't tell anyone this. This is the bit that's really hard to admit. I do feel better. Oh, it's hard to say that out loud. I love my coffee. But we can let go of things. We can grieve. We've had to let go of a lot over the last 6 months, things much bigger than a daily cup of coffee. So I can do this, and I will love matcha latte. good to see you. Alex is up in the Scottish Highlands having a chicken and avocado sandwich. Very good. Kathy is having her early morning coffee with a cupcake. Love it. And Nikki has been challenged. School's going back tomorrow. Mixed feelings. Yes, right? Mixed feelings. School's back tomorrow. Rosie, my little 3-year-old, just went up to look at her nursery today for a little kind of pre-going back tour. And loved it apparently, but then said, because I'm training today, so I wasn't there with her, but then came out and said, I really like my nursery, but I think it would be much better if there were other kids there. Because it's not open today. She's just going and having a tour and meeting the meeting the people. The mouth of babes. The mouth of babes. Alison says, I weaned myself off coffee and then I have one and I'm hooked again. She says, yes, you're very brave. Thank you, Lisa. I'm trying to be very, very brave. Yeah, I bet. Alex is saying we're in Scotland. It's the 4th week back. It's been okay, but the bubbles are causing some friendship issues. Yeah, but overall it's good. I bet it's tough, isn't it, right? Who knows how this is all going to go for the poor little possums. Poor little possums. Right, my darlings. Well, let's talk a little bit about Inner Critic, because this is why we're here today. And if you know anyone who has a strong inner critic, a sister, a friend, a work colleague, please do tag them in the comments. Write their name in there and say, hey, you might be interested in this video, or share it to your timeline. If you prefer, in a couple of hours, this will be up on our YouTube channel as well. You can share it from there too as an alternative. But please do, because we do our very best. Our mission is to equip 1 million women with the tools to sustainably change their corner of the world, ladies. And 1 million is a lot of women. So we do a lot of great training for free, and today is no exception to that. And we would love for your community to come join us as well. So please do feel free to share it. Today we're talking Inner Critic. So let's first talk about why it is so important for us to understand it. Because the inner critic, most of us don't like the little voice in our head that is rude and mean to us. You know, I'm interested. Let me know in the chat channel what sorts of things your inner critic has said to you this morning or in the last couple of days. What are some of the inner critic highlights? Inner critic highlights. My inner critic this morning had a field day on the fact that Greg and my nanny Lorna were taking Rosie up to the nursery, and I am not a good enough mother. You are such a shit mother. If you were a good mother, you would be taking your daughter on her nursery visit. How hopeless are you that you put a training day in with your best clients, the one of many. I'm doing a masterclass for our one of many certified trainers today. But all I'm getting on the inner critic front is, how crap are you not going to a day of your nursery? You're such a bad mother. It pauses while I'm here chatting with you ladies, but I can guarantee that when I finish for the day, she's going to ramp up again, have all sorts of wonderful things to say about that. The other thing she's having a field day about is the fact that I'm taking James for some health assessments tomorrow, but I've got to drive 2 hours, and I hurt my back last week. And 2 hours in a car is really going to hurt, which means that Greg might be taking James to the health assessments. And my inner critic is like, oh my God, you know so much more than Greg about these things. You're such a hopeless mother. You need to go. It's your fault. You're an idiot for hurting your back. La, la, la. Oh my God, she never shuts up. Most of the time I just choose not to listen to her, but she is very vocal, especially on my parenting. That's probably the area where she has the most to say. Let's be honest. Occasionally, if I say something dumb on a training video or a training course, she'll have some words to say about that. That happens less and less these days. It used to happen a lot, but, occasionally it happens. Or if I say something I was just Facebook. I was connecting with an old friend recently, and I sent a message, and then I didn't hear back from him, and I thought, oh God, I've stepped over the line. And my inner critic had a field day about all of the stupid things, all of the reasons why I'm such a dumb person and I shouldn't have sent the message. By the way, it was not even slightly a bad message. It was a fine message. It was a lovely message. It was a funny message. But this is the shit that our inner critic does, right? This is the shit that our inner critic does. She's so judgmental. So judgmental. What is yours saying? Come on, ladies. I want to hear what your inner critic is saying. What is your inner critic saying to you? Let's hear. Or at least give me a thumbs up or something, or some kind of emoji if you have an inner critic. Let me know that I'm not the only one out there. But here's the thing about inner critics. They are good as well as bad. Even though what they're pointing out most of the time has us feel bad, our inner critic can be an absolute thief of our happiness. She steals our happiness because she's always pointing out what's bad and doesn't let us be grateful, right? The opposite of the inner critic is gratitude and noticing what's great in our lives. But that's not the inner critic's job. The inner critic's job is to keep us safe. It's actually a part of us that was designed to keep us safe. So in childhood, she pointed out when people were in a good mood or a bad mood. She pointed out situations that were challenging. Her job is to point out the what's wrong, right? Here's right and here's what's wrong, to keep us safe. Don't go in there, you won't be safe. Don't say that, you won't be safe. To keep us safe from shame, from actual physical threat, to keep us safe. That's the inner critic's job. Now, the problem is if the inner critic is the only voice we listen to in our heads, we can be mistaken for thinking that she is the only voice that we have. She is not just your inner voice. She is the inner critic. It's one little personality, one little sub-personality, as my colleague Annie Stoker would call her. And she is not the only one. There are many, many others as well. So we need to get really good at identifying that when it is our inner critic and doing something alternative, right? So the first thing to do is be grateful for the fact that you have an inner critic because she's keeping you safe. She is helping you to notice what's wrong, to keep you safe socially, to keep you safe from shame, to keep you safe from feeling feelings you don't want to feel, to keep you safe from actual, threats, physical threats and all of that kind of stuff. So she's good in that respect. However, when she overreaches her job description, right? When she's playing outside her lane, you're outside your lane right now, little voice. That's when she can really get us down. So, this is great. So let's hear some of these. This is what Alison's inner critic is saying to her. All the courses and learning you've been doing, total waste of time. WTF are you playing at? Who do you think you are? Look at all the stuff on your to-do list. You're hopeless, hopeless, hopeless. Yes. Kathy says she tells me I'm lazy. Leanne says I'm overweight, generally not good enough, but I'm getting better at dealing with her. Good job, Leanne. I like this. Fiona says, mine is currently telling me off for taking a break to listen to you instead of working. Thank you, Fiona's inner critic. She's very safe right now. I've got this and we'll get back to you. Alex is saying no one would really want to spend time with me. Alex says I'm at peace with that one. Yes, right? So these are the sorts of things that our inner critics say to us. Now, when we start to recognize that she has some good for us as well, right? She has some good in that she helps to keep us safe. That's great. So let her be the part that keeps you safe. But then we need to know what to do with the information. So if it's good information, you really messed up that presentation. I've just got a wasp come to join in the presentation with us. If she's saying you really messed up that presentation, you're hopeless, then there's two pieces of information there. You messed up the presentation. That's one piece of data. The second piece of data is you're hopeless. So we need to then get good internally at bringing other personalities to the party and looking at the inner strategist, for instance, the strategist that goes, yeah, you messed up that presentation. Okay, what's the impact of that going to be? What extra steps do I need to take to get that client back on board? Or do I need to, make sure that the board understood what I was trying to say, or whatever it is, right? The strategist can go, yeah, I thank you, inner critic, for pointing out that was messed up, that there were blank faces and that they walked out of the room in a bit of a huff. Thank you for pointing that out. Now let me see with what I can do, right? It goes to the strategist. The other part is that to pass it to the mother power type that has inner compassion for us, the bit that says hopeless, mother would say, yes, you messed up your presentation, but you are awesome. Last week you did a great presentation. The week before that you did a great presentation. In fact, 9 out of 10 of your presentations you hit out of the park. Good job, right? So we can bring other power types into play. And we can do better with the information. So that's what we need to get good at doing internally. And here are some things that make that easier. Number one, if you are carrying around a limiting belief like I am not good enough, your inner critic will perform at a higher level. So one of the best things you can do is release that limiting belief. We've got tools for that in Living the Change. We're going to be talking about how to release things at our Momentum for Change free event, actually. Yes! Oh, let me remind you about that. So we have a great free event coming up in a couple of weekends' time called Momentum for Change. We have at the moment over 1,500 women, I think, about registered for that event from all over the world. The wonderful thing is it is going to be delivered virtually. So Annie and Susie, my content collaborators of one of many, are going to be here with me because we are in a socially distanced fashion. We're not going to be right on top of each other, but we are going to be co-training here from this room. It's going to be a little like our Clarity and Chaos event that we had at the beginning of lockdown and quarantine. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to have so many amazing women there. And we would love for you to join us. It is completely free, and you can get registered at oneofmany.co.uk/momentum if you would like to come and play. And one of the things we will be talking, in fact, I believe, that's my lunch plate. We are talking about it on Sunday morning, is the inner critic. And Annie is going to bring her wisdom to this as well, because Annie is our expert on subpersonalities. But we're going to be talking about this piece in more detail, and also what makes inner critic go into overdrive. Things like carrying around lots of emotion. So if we are feeling particularly sad or grieving or particularly afraid, it could trick off inner critic even more. If we have beliefs like I'm not good enough, it could tip off inner critic even more. So all of these things fuel inner critic even more. For those of you here who are in Living the Change, if your inner critic's having a field day, go pick up the power type release process from Living the Change and let go of the limiting belief that's fueling her, the I'm not good enough in this context, whatever it is. And that will help. That will help with the healing, absolutely. So those things can fuel her. The other thing is exhaustion, right? When we are tired and when we've been juggling and when our executive functioning is deplete, inner critic takes over, yeah? And I know this to be true from so much coaching that I've done, that when women are bringing in to their coaching, and the voice that they're actually sharing is the inner critic. They don't say, this is what my inner critic's saying. They just say, I'm completely hopeless. I can't. I could never do that. This is not possible. I'm an idiot, blah, 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 blah. When they start speaking the voice of their inner critic, I know that one of the first places to look for that woman is how exhausted is she? How tired is she? How much replenishment does she need? Because that's a critical piece. So be aware of that too, and know that a lack of energy, right? If you have been stressed for a long period of time, or having to operate at a high level for a long period of time, that will fuel the inner critic, right? It fuels her. So another couple of little tips that we talk about with the inner critic is giving her a funny name. My friend Sarah calls her inner critic Doris. If you are here and you're in Living the Change, you've already given your inner critic some kind of name, please do share. It would be lovely to hear what some of these inner critics are called. Because it helps you to depersonalize, to recognize it's not you, that your thoughts are not true, that there's just a little piece of you called the inner critic whose job is to keep you safe, that has this language and has this stuff to say. We had a police officer once who called hers, or at least I called hers. I think she slightly adjusted the name, but I forget what she called it because it stuck so strongly for me. But PC Panickety, because we want our police officers to have a good, strong inner critic. We want them to notice when someone's looking a bit dodgy outside the tube station. We want them to notice what's wrong with this picture. That's the job of the inner critic, right? That's what you want in a good police officer. But when that same personality is then judging everything else that they're doing in their lives, that is not a good adjustment. I love these. Alison says my inner critic is Rumpelstiltskin. Brilliant. Alison Derrick says it's Windbag. These are great names. Fantastic, ladies. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. So when it comes to dealing with the inner critic and therefore winding it down, right, winding it down, things that we can do. As I said, let go of things that fuel her. So limiting beliefs or lots of emotion if you're carrying around. If you're carrying those things around, let them go, because that will minimize her impact. Number 2, replenish your energy, right? Get yourself rested, have a good sleep, have a bath, love yourself, nourish yourself, look after yourself. That will bring her volume down. And then the third thing is, once you've kind of done those things that bring the volume down, you then in the moment deal with her. That's one of the things we'll go into a bit more detail at. I don't have time for it so much today, but at Momentum for Change on the Sunday morning especially, we will go into more detail on exactly how to handle that inner critic. But what I wanted to do today was just spend a little bit of time, and I'm doing a bit of a shorter one today because I'm on my lunch break from my training, to do a little bit of a short foray into the inner critic, where she comes from, why she's helpful, and what to do with her. So bearing that in mind, I want to know, those of you who've got some inner critic triggering off at the moment, where do you need to look first? Is it replenishment? Are you tired and so you need to rest up? Is it having a look at limiting beliefs or emotions, letting go of some of her fuel tank, right? A belief like I'm not good enough is fuel to the inner critic. A big tank of fear is fuel to the inner critic, right? So these, or shame especially, God, shame fuels the inner critic. So any big emotions or beliefs that we hold about ourselves and we haven't let go of from the past will fuel her. So is that the place to look? Or is it in just the moment by moment, getting really good at going, oh, hello, inner critic, giving her a name. Hello there, little pixie. I call mine little pixie. Hi there, pixie. I hear what you're saying. Thanks for sharing. I'm not a bad parent. I'm actually an awesome parent. I'm a great parent. In fact, James, the other day, it was so sweet. How did it come up? Greg and I had done something insignificant but important for the kids. Like, well, it wasn't overwhelmingly important. It was something like forgotten to download his Lego Ninjago that he wanted, right? He said, could you do that for us tonight? And we hadn't, or something of that ilk. It wasn't that, it was something of that ilk. And I facetiously, because we love a bit of sarcastic humor in our house, I said to James, oh, God, we're terrible parents, aren't we, buddy? Do you want us to take us back to the shop, trade us in for some new ones? And he just looked at me completely earnestly, like he understands that I was joking. But he looked at me completely earnestly and said, Mum, even if I could, I would never take you back to the shop because you are the best parents that I could ever have. So I just thought, oh, how lovely is that? So when my inner critic was having a field day today, the mother power type in me said, remember what your son said the other day, you're the best parents he could ever have. So shut up, I'm a great parent. So in that moment to moment, having, bringing in the power types, right? Bring in the power types, bring in the mother who can help you to have self-compassion, bring in the queen who can help you to strategize a way through whatever the data is that is presenting to you, right, etc. Bring in the sorceress that can help you to heal something, but bring in those power types to help you deal with the data that is being presented, to help you assess the data that's being presented by the inner critic and deal with it appropriately. Good. So Leanne is saying, for me, it's that moment by moment, recognizing, then challenging. And it can help by starting to give it a funny little name that takes the wind out of her sails, so to speak. Do I say this out loud? Oh, like when I'm coaching myself? Sometimes I do. Yeah, sometimes I do, Jeanette. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I do. So when it's particularly bad, and if my inner critic has taken over my vocal cords and it has come out, which doesn't happen very often these days, to be fair, I'm much better at not voicing these things because I think giving something voice gives it power. But occasionally I'll get to the point where I'll just go, oh God, I'm hopeless, right? Or I just don't feel like a good enough mother or something like that. Like occasionally those things will come out if I'm just talking to Greg or if I mess something up and just like, oh, you're an idiot. If I've given it voice, then I will often give the answer voice. Then I'll kind of pull back and go, well, thank you very much, Pixie. This is not true. I am not an idiot. I am, in fact, a genius. I'm very, very smart. I got 2 prizes at medical school. I graduated with first class honors. I was top of my class in most of my things. I'm actually pretty fucking smart. I'm very smart. I'm very good at these things, very good at reading people. I'm very good on stage. I'm very good at a bunch of different things. Okay, there's plenty of things I'm not good at. That is one of the things that I'm not that good at. I can't be good at everything. I'm good at other things. Thank you very much. And I might say these things outside my head if I've given it voice. But most of the time it's just thinking it, catching it and going, no, not, so this would be internally. No, that's not the case. Here, right, you're doing great. You need a break. You need a rest or whatever it might be, and going and actioning that. That's how I'd kind of approach it. Alison says, I need a holiday, so I'm weary, but there are underlying limiting beliefs that mean I'm in my own way when it comes to implementing my recent high quality courses and the learning that I've been doing. So 2 pieces there, Alison, right? Get yourself the holiday, get yourself the break in, have it to look forward to, and go pick up those underlying limiting beliefs. Give yourself the mini holiday of a break from believing that stuff. That's going to make a big difference. That's beautiful. Well, ladies, as I said, Inner Critic is one of the things we're going to be digging into at Momentum for Change, which is a 2-day in-depth transformational online virtual event, highly experiential. You're going to absolutely love it. It's going to be beautiful. We're talking about that. Let me look here. What else we're talking about? We're talking about understanding this moment, why right now things are tougher than we've ever had to face in our generation before. Talking about understanding our emotions more deeply, what to do about them, letting them go. We're talking about a new leadership style for the new paradigm. We're going to dig into your power types and how to embody them and understand them more deeply. We're looking at a process for adapting to new circumstances, things that we might not have wanted, but we have to deal with, right? How do we do that? We are talking about procrastination, and we're talking about activating vision. We also have 4 awesome guest speakers coming to join us. Geeta Sidhu Rob, who is the CEO of Nosh Detox, and also an extraordinary she's extraordinarily active in politics, and I'm really don't get me wrong, Geeta is an extraordinary entrepreneur, but she's also a mum of 5 kids. So I think she's got 3 of her own 2 step kids or something like that, or 2 and 3. Can't remember exactly which way around it goes. But she's a very active mother, a very active entrepreneur, and yet she is still finding time for her political activism at the moment. And that's what I want to talk to Geeta about. We're talking about talking to my old friend Kemi, who is living in Australia. She's actually a Brit, but she lives out in Melbourne. They're in stage 4 lockdown at the moment, and we're going to be talking to her about getting vitality for change. Like, how do we really activate greatest possible momentum? My friend Danelle Delgado, who I met on Necker Island last year, an extraordinary entrepreneur, and we're going to be talking about getting momentum for business growth. Many self-employed and entrepreneurs, as small business owners, are wanting to get some momentum underneath their business growth, so we'll be talking to her about that. And then also another dear friend of mine, Wendy Powell, who is the CEO of Mutu System, which is a huge online personal training program, I guess, for women to help get their get their bodies back and get some dignity after childbirth, whether that was 8 months ago or 18 years ago. An amazing woman, but we're not talking about that with her. She has watching what she's doing inside of her business in terms of collaboration and partnerships in recent times. I want to talk about how when we have a big mission, how important it is to reach out, partner, collaborate, and find big ways forward rather than small incremental things. So the theme of the weekend is all around momentum. We're going to get a rocket under whatever your plans are at the moment. You will leave inspired and ready to rock and roll. It's going to be amazing. Get yourself registered at oneamany.co.uk/momentum, and it is completely free. So therefore, tell all your friends, your work colleagues, anyone that you think could use a little bit of One Many magic, please invite them along. If you can't make it for the whole weekend, or if you want the best possible experience, do invest in a premium ticket. It's only £47 for the premium ticket, which also gets you the recordings of the weekend, a smaller group coaching session with me exclusively on the Saturday night, cocktails, Q&A, and connection. And some other lovely goodies that we're throwing into that as well. So looking forward to seeing you all there. It's going to be great timing. Everyone's saying, yes, I'm booked, I'm coming, hooray! Excellent, my loves. Well, listen, great to connect with you. Lovely to see you. Go out and work with that inner critic this week, and I will see as many of you as possible in a couple of weeks. Thanks for sharing the love and spreading the word with us. See ya.